Thank you, Dylan. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Huntington. My name is Lee Kerfist, and my pronouns are he, him. I am today's worship associate for our service on compassion in a world that is tired. Here...
Can I say something?
Oh, please.
If I may. And I am Reverend Israel Buffardi. I use he, him for pronouns. I'm the minister, the contract minister of this fellowship right now. And it's beautiful, lovely, wonderful to be here with all of you this morning, to see you here together. Keep going.
Here we gather as a community of seekers, seekers of truth, of justice, and of love. We gather not necessarily to agree, but to grow in compassion, in courage, and curiosity. We are trying to grow a compassion that is not the easy kind, not just kindness that costs us nothing, but compassion that calls us to stay human, even in the face of a world that tempts us to be hard. Ours is a congregation that can worship together, not because we all believe the same thing or because we share the same backgrounds, but because ours is a religion that values our differences, and because we are here to learn more about how to be human and how to learn that together. As a community, we teach ourselves and each other to slow down and notice life as it actually is, to pay attention to the ordinary things that remind us we are alive and that we are connected. If you are new here or visiting, a special welcome to you. If you would like to learn more, please speak to someone at the membership table in the social hall after the service or visit our website, UUFH.org. And remember that whoever you are, and whatever path you have walked, however heavy or light your spirit feels today, you are welcome. And now I'd like to call up Ben Moskowitz to light our chalice today. These chalice lighting words come to us from Bear Kolesqua, a chaplain with the First UU Church of Austin, Texas. It is entitled The Hearth of the Chalice. As we light the chalice, may our souls become its hearth. We join our hearts to the one great flame of bright compassion, beloved community, and fervent justice. May we become lanterns to the world, lighting the way for all. And now let us all join in the singing of our affirmation on common ground. The words are on the screen.
Let's all take a breath together this morning and come into the room together and remember why we are here. Remember the many different roads that brought you here to this place. The many different roads that brought you here, that gave you the need to find other people to share life with, to share life's pain and joy and sorrow. I remember that first moment when you were rushing down those different paths, those different roads from where you came, and you realized just how much you needed someone in your life. As I was driving here this morning, I came over this hill that I drive over often. It's this hill where the trees make this tunnel of light. And as I came over the hill, the sun caught the leaves just right. Some were still green, and some full and ablaze and beautiful, and some trees were bare already. Perhaps they had long been taken by disease, or maybe a few apples softening on the branch, even though it seems too early. And I thought, this is us. This is us. All of us. Every day. All of us moving in the same direction. Sometimes rushing, sometimes lost in the blur of each other's taillights. Or the taillights of what's going on in the world. We live in a world that keeps shouting at us constantly, whether it's through the radio, or through the news, or in the streets. And sometimes the shouting is needed, yes. The shouting keeps saying, pick a side, right or left, stop or go. But here we all are, traveling the same stretch of road called life. Trying to grow something, notice something, love something before the fall. Maybe that's what this kind of community is for. To pull off the highway for a bit. To look around and to remember that we're all a part of the same beautiful cycles of life. The same changing landscape. As I was driving here and rushing, the music playing in my car was Istanbul, not Constantinople. You know that song? This is like the ska version. There's an old jazzier version. But it was playing, and it's a silly song about a city, if you don't know, that changed its name and kept on being anyway. But there's a line in the song that says, Istanbul, not Constantinople. And they say, why'd they change it? I can't say. Who knows the next line? People just liked it better that way. I am reminded every morning, constantly, that I am part of the cycle of something so much greater than myself. Empires rise and fall. Cities change their name. Names change. Leaves turn. Leadership changes. Rising tides and waves bring us places. And we, the droplets of water that make up the stream, must carry it where it must go. So that's why we're here. To behold this beautiful experience of what it means to be alive. To see the tides that are pulling and drowning others before us. To use the tools we have, the life vests, to help each other. So arrive here. Remember you're here. Take a breath. Laugh. Look outside, get up, move around. You don't have to sit down the whole time we're here together, by the way. Be yourselves. Dance. Tell me to shut up. Welcome home. You don't have to pretend like the world is anything less than it is here, which is anything other than it has always been, full of pain and beauty and joy, all at the same time. So let's sing For the Earth Forever Turning this morning. Rise in body or in spirit, or do what you want. Maybe. This is the part of our service, of our time together, that we call moments of the heart. It's a time to keep slowing down, to arrive here and allow yourself to slow down and find your center, to breathe and to notice what's stirring in and around us. Each of us brings something into this room. Joys that ache to be shared and griefs that still have a pulse within us. Worries that ride just behind the ribs. Hopes that haven't given up on us yet. This is where we hold all of that together. Not to fix it, not to solve it, but to remember that we don't carry any of it alone. When you came in here this morning, you might have received an index card. And if you didn't, there are more. We have more up front. Over there. You're invited to write down something that you carry in your heart, a joy, a sorrow, a complex truth. Something that you wish for all of us to share, or something that you need to ask for help with. And when you bring those cards up, someone from our pastoral care team will receive it with tenderness, as a reminder that care doesn't live in any one pair of hands, it lives in the web that we all weave together. And as you bring your cards up, we'll receive them, and you're invited to also light a candle. There's so much that we carry in this room this morning on our hearts. So many concerns for our world, for those we love. We start with a joy. The Brenner Huck family, I'm sorry if I'm saying that name incorrectly, if anyone wants to tell me. Hauk, thank you. That's my mark. Wishes to share the joy of Rosalie. Say it for me, please. Rosalie Hawks. Okay, first birthday. She's happy, healthy, and about to crawl and get up and walk. Watch out! Here she comes. For a dear old friend, may he find some relief from his pain. Someone says, I wish to applaud the courage of all peaceful protesters for No King's Day. It doesn't end there. There's a lot for yesterday, for the solidarity of yesterday. May the joy and solidarity of yesterday's demonstrations continue and turn our country in a kinder and healthier direction. Forgiveness is so hard, this person says. I seem to prefer my anger, but I need to move on. I sometimes feel like all of these things are connected. For my country, a shout out to all those who've held a sign yesterday for the hope of change. How many saw? Go. Yes. Praying for our democracy. Praying for our democracy. Showing up for our democracy. Changing ourselves for our democracy. So many people are being hurt right now, intentionally. It is so hard not to fall into despair, especially for all of the young people whose services have been cut by millions. And it's appropriate that the next one again is congratulations, is the word used. And thanks, and I say thanks, we say thanks to the millions who spoke yesterday for democracy. For them, for all of us, for themselves. And I could read these again and again and again. All of these joys and sorrows and complex truths that we carry. That you carry and you help each other with. For all of these, all that we carry in our hearts. Take a look around the room. Take some silence. Take some breaths. Know that you are here with your people, your home. That doesn't mean everything is perfect, but it means that you are here for each other. So know that as you breathe into the silence now. Know that with each life-giving breath you draw sustenance from plants and the earth itself. Plants that made oxygen to keep you alive. reminding you that the very ground you are sat on, has offered you its care and love from the very beginning. May we always be held by that love, all of us, always. And let us sing, Spirit of Life. I want to share with you a story that I had in mind this morning that maybe some of you have heard before. But maybe you haven't heard it quite this way before. So if you want to picture being in a school cafeteria, my daughter, I got an email. They're having a lockdown preparedness drill, I think this upcoming week or coming up really soon. So I've been thinking a lot about what happens with those I care about when they're outside of my care, or they're with those who I've entrusted with their care. So if you can picture a school cafeteria, but in this scenario, there's a storm. It's the middle of the day, and there's a dark storm that comes in that nobody expected, that the weather forecast pointed out might happen, but that everyone thought was unlikely. And so they weren't prepared for what would happen. And the lights went out, and suddenly it was really, really dark, and nobody could see. But it was lunchtime. And what's your favorite thing to have for lunch? Anybody? Pizza. Obviously. Mac and cheese, yep. Yeah. We're gonna write, yeah. We got them all. They had pizza and mac and cheese and probably brownies and something else too that day. And definitely chocolate milk or strawberry. PB&J. So it was everyone's favorite, but there wasn't quite enough for everyone. Or at least there was. But there wasn't because a couple of people took too much for themselves because they ran first and grabbed it. But everyone else was stuck with soup. And they only had the ridiculously long boat paddle wooden spoons. Has anyone ever worked in a commercial kitchen before? You ever seen the spoon used to stir a large vat of soup? It's ridiculously long and heavy, and you can't use it as a spoon to feed yourself. But that's all they had. And everyone had one for some reason. And the lights were out, and they had to get their soup. And everyone was running around in the dark, trying to get to their soup, waving about in the dark with these sticks hitting each other. And no one could get their food. Until one person said, hold on a second. Anyone know what their idea was? Feed each other. You've heard the story before. You've heard the story before. You know the end. I know you know the end. That's the point. When you're in the story, how do you change the story? You've got to remember that we have to feed each other. Everybody. And that when we forget that, nobody gets fed. I don't know how you eat pizza with a spoon anyway. We'll figure that one out next time. Yes. You know, there's a place in Italy now that puts pineapple on their pizza, like a true Neapolitan style. Sometimes the story changes too. Let's sing. Let's sing Go Now in Peace. Sometimes peace calls to us quietly, in the middle of the road, in the middle of the day, in the middle of the night, and sometimes it calls out to us loudly, reminding us that we need to stop, even if we didn't plan on it. John O'Donohue once said that beauty lives both above and below the surface of the sea. And this was in an interview on Being with Krista Tippett, where he was talking about his spiritual life and what it feels like to be pulled below the ocean. And he feels like that for him. That's why I have this. That for him, everyday life where you're kind of going about your everyday business is you're floating on top of the ocean and you're on the storm. And it feels like you're tossed around and you're just thrown about by the sea and the currents. And the spiritual life asks you to do something different, to go deeper, to see that the currents are on the top and there is something much deeper and richer that lies below. That water is covering a sphere. Sometimes we float. I say sometimes we're pulled under. Either way, the ocean keeps teaching us how to dive in and how to rise up and how to see what's below. I think maybe that today, being alive right now in this moment, it can feel like that, being tossed about every day. It's probably felt like that for a while. In fact, when I first heard this, it was about 4 years ago. And I listened to it on a Sunday morning before I went to work. That was my meditation, a moment of calm. This past week, brought perhaps, at least for a moment, what might have felt like a calm, a ceasefire in Gaza. But then we realize, as soon as it might seem like there's a calm for a moment, there's really never a calm in the storm. For the moment this happens, more reports of strikes, hunger, truckloads full of aid being kept away from children. And you could say the same here. The fighting might have had a momentary pause, as it has across human history. But the ocean, the currents go on. And here, in the United States, apartment complexes are raided at dawn. But you know what? I don't need to tell you everything that is wrong in the world and everything that is happening. You're not here because of that, to hear everything that's wrong. So I offer you this piece of hope. Joe Rogan. You know who Joe Rogan is? Yeah? Conservative political commentator. We're talking about compassion this month, which is a word that I haven't said much of yet. That's what we're talking about today. Are those two? I will say this. I don't associate that name with the word compassion normally. It's not what I think of normally. But you might have heard recently Joe Rogan speaking of these ICE raids, of people being snatched. Joe Rogan, not exactly a prophet of tenderness, watched this footage or heard about it and watched it and said, "This is insane, have a heart." Same week, Chuck Schumer was booed at the Met Gala. I don't know if you heard about this. Yeah? For talking about artistic expression, freedom of artistic expression, and he was booed. And Andrew Cuomo dropped out of the New York mayoral race. So there's a connection between all of these things, and I say it's actually hope. I'm sorry, excuse me. That's not what I meant to say. What I meant to say was there was talk of him dropping out of the race when he, at the same time yeah, I know, you'd correct me. That's what happens when you speak in public. You miss your words 1 second. Okay, the point being, that you're my fact checkers. And as this conversation was happening, there was also discussion that I was hearing about how it was his criticism of Mandami, and his criticism of him, as which could have sounded like it was coming from someone like Joe Rogan almost. And someone's response to it was, "You're not running for the mayor of Alligator Alcatraz." So my point here is not a political speech. My point is that on all sides of the spectrum, we have people here whose cracks are being revealed in public. Prince Andrew giving up his royal titles. And it's hope. Not just for the obvious reason that you might think. You have a weekend with millions of people shouting "No kings" in the streets, and Prince Andrew gives up his royal titles, not obviously because of that, but there is a connection, and it's not worth celebrating because of the shame of those men, and I'm using that word intentionally. It's not just worth celebrating because of the cracking of those people in public. What's really worth celebrating is that I think, well, here, think about who was booing Schumer at the Met Gala. I've never been to a Met Gala. Has anyone here? No, don't tell me. Don't tell me, because you're not going to like what I'm going to say next. Anyone can go to a Met Gala. No one is here to be judged. At the Met Gala, let's picture the Met Gala, chandeliers and fancy attire. The well-to-do there at the Met Gala booing Chuck Schumer, there's supposed to be some sense of kinship with, I would think, in terms of the big picture of what many people would think. Booing that. And I think there is something cracking there, and it's not just the shame of powerful men. It's a nation that is realizing that it is based on something, and it is insane. And we must find our heart. What I mean by that is the people shouting, booing Schumer weren't shouting about party lines. They weren't shouting across party lines. You can't blame this particular instance on party lines. They were naming a longing. The same longing that people were naming and calling out for yesterday. A longing for humility, for shared power, for our national consciousness to reflect something human. From Gaza's rubble to the Met balcony to the city streets, the same storm tosses us all. I've said a few times over the course of the last few weeks that I think each and every one of us is born as if we were babies. We come from dark, mysterious waters that make life somehow with much pain. We emerge from that into an ocean, like we're tossed in, born into this ocean, little babies, no manual, no Bible, no instructions, just other people who came into the world the same way, scared, lonely. And then we have to figure it out. And the rules here that we're based on say, strong man wins. Strong men take what strong man wants. It's insane. Actually. And that's the current that we're on. But of course, it's much more complex than that. That's a neat story. It's much more complex than that. You can think of it like the story with the spoons that you've heard over and over again, just like you've heard over and over again the rise and fall of empires and strong men taking what they want. Running around, waving their big spoons, taking what they want. And we're all stuck. They tell us that we have to wave our spoons too. Until somebody in the mess, in the dark, in the cafeteria, remember the storm in the cafeteria? Someone in that cafeteria in the dark looks out and says, "Can everyone please put their spoons down for a second?" Can we figure this out? The real message of the story isn't that we need to feed each other, even though that is the message that we've said over and over again. Just like you all know the golden rule, if you know the message, why isn't it true in practice in the world? Treat others the way you want to, or the platinum rule, treat others the way they want to be treated. Truth so universal that we call it the golden rule, that it's on a poster in our hall when you enter. It's in this story, it's there. So what's the real message of the story? Here we are, a nation of frightened people, many of us, flinging our soup while the pot grows cold. Empires always end this way, by the way. I'll tell you the truth. I'll tell you the real message. But I'm going to make you wait for a moment. Because there's one thing, one other truth that this country was founded on that I think is not full with sanity. And that's this. It's a phrase that I remember hearing over and over again, that freedom isn't free. You've heard that before. It misses the point. It takes freedom from a political perspective, a divide and conquer perspective. If my freedom is only earned by shutting someone else out. But we're here for the spiritual perspective, and so I say this. It's not freedom, it's free will, and it isn't free. And what I mean by that is this. It costs awareness, connection, courage, awareness to open your eyes and see what's going on in the world, the courage to show up like yesterday, the awareness to seek the connection with other people. Our country declared independence, but it never learned the true meaning of that free will. That we are bound to each other, not just the people who wrote the rules. That's our soul wound that we carry that may not be healable. But here's the deal. Cafeteria, remember the story? The real lesson. It's not just that we need to feed each other, even though that's true, and we know it's true. So true that many of you knew the story already. It's not just that we need to feed each other, it's that we need to stop in the storm. Stop waving our sticks around, our spoons. Be still and notice the people we're with, and notice who's suffering. Feed them first. I think that compassion, and that is what compassion looks like to me. I think that's what many of the wisdom traditions of the world have been trying to understand and explain. And I think it's the only medicine deep enough to heal this wound, or begin to. So I think that's why we're here. Not just to feed each other, to find meaning and purpose, to feed our souls, but to pause, like I say. To pause, and while we are pausing, to notice. And there's something else too. For the story to end the familiar way, where everyone gets fed. Yes, they have to pause, they have to notice, but they have to choose to do something. Not just to go back to running around the room in the dark. So when you go out this week, into your life, into your daily life, you will have to get fed. You have loved ones to feed. Remember that you are all out there with those spoons, with those sticks. I started by talking about some powerful men who we saw fail in public. And it's easy to take that story, I think, and to feel happy, to see people that represent the opposite of compassion be shamed. Until I remember, that I'm floating on that same ocean that we all are, that they are, that you are. And so here in this place, we build that strength that we need to recognize when we're with our loved ones and they challenge us. Just like I do when sometimes my daughter does something that I know is my own habit, or perhaps you have those things that other people do that annoy you. Those small things. Start in those moments and remember that you're there with someone suffering just as you are. And take that out so that when you are out in public and you encounter someone who challenges you more, that you know how to pause before choosing what to do next. Remember that as you're going out, to stop and breathe. To stop and breathe. And to notice. And remember what happens when enough people stop and breathe and notice. Where were you yesterday? Remember to stop and breathe before you continue. And now I'm just playing with you a little bit.
Our split plate for the month of October is Birthday Wishes of Long Island. This is a nonprofit that was founded in 2009, whose mission is to bring the joy of a birthday party to a needy child. They serve over 70 family homeless shelters, foster care kids, and homeless teens via partnerships with schools, courts, and shelter staff. They provide birthday boxes, paper goods, decorations, homemade cupcakes, and gifts selected with that child's wishes in mind. They also provide items for new mothers through their birthday bundle program. While Dylan accompanies us for the collection, please give as generously as you are able, or send a check to the office, or donate through our website, PayPal, or Zelle. Thank you. We light a flame at the beginning to remind us of what is important. Of the warmth that holds us from the beginning, that gives us a light in the dark, somewhere to go. As you go out into your lives, and you travel that road, and you're rushing to where the world takes you, to where the news cycle takes you to go, to where you need to go. Going off to those places, and forgetting that you are driving 50 miles an hour down a windy road, and it's wet, and you have a big stick. Don't just wait for the traffic lights. Remember to pause and to see who you are with. And remember that you carry a big stick, but it's actually a spoon and a paddle, and we need it to turn this boat around, and we need those spoons to feed each other. That's the only way it's going to happen. And remember, you're on the same road that many have been on before. And the leaves are still glorious.
And life still shouts in our ears sometimes. Go in peace. Don't do it. I know. Sometimes you just have to.
And now just a few announcements before you go. First of all, thanks to Dylan and the choir for the gift of your music today. Really? Another round of applause, okay? Next Saturday, October the 25th, from 12 to 2 p.m., there will be UUFH Family Day. Come and join the Religious Education Committee of the UUFH for an afternoon of fun for all ages. There will be music, pumpkin painting, face painting, a food truck, axe throwing, outdoor games, raffles, and much, much more. So you're encouraged to bring a picnic basket and come in costume. I mean, it's optional, but it's certainly encouraged. Our famous pumpkin queens would like to remind everybody that wonderful fall weather is here, and it is just right for pumpkin shopping. They are still looking for people to fill slots on the selling calendar. Sales shifts are 3.5 hours long, and they're still available every day through October the 31st. To register, you can stop by the pumpkin patch in the social hall or see this week's flash for the Sign Up Genius link. You are also encouraged to share the pumpkin patch flyer on Facebook, and that link is also in the flash. And thanks to all of our volunteers who've been helping out with the pumpkin patch. The crew unloaded some new inventory yesterday, and the patch is ready for another terrific week. And finally, to all newcomers and new members, you're all invited to an orientation to Unitarian Universalism and to the UUFH. This will take place on Sunday, October the 26th, a week from now, from 12 to 1 p.m. Our minister, Reverend Israel, and fellowship leaders from our social justice congregational governance, finance, and religious education committees will be there. If you're interested, please contact Shelley Lauer-Bader or Terry Donaldson to reserve your spot. And now, until we meet again, may you all go in peace. Thank you.